Good afternoon. I'm Michael Runyon.
And I'm Savannah Zimmerman.
I'm Increase Zimmerman.
Welcome to the training video for Recall Sisolak for the Battle Born Patriots.
That is correct.
So, you may remember us from such videos as the other training video for the other group. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to the training video. We're going to try to cover as much as we can today and answer some of the frequently asked questions, as well as present you with, your training materials and what you're going to need out there on the campaign trail.
Exactly.
So we need to remember that this is a nonpartisan effort. Regardless of how you feel in the presidential election, regardless of how you feel in the local county election, regardless of how you feel anywhere. It's nonpartisan. We have one job only. That is to recall Governor Sisolak.
Right, so if you are a Trump supporter, then we're going to have to ask that you leave any Trump gear behind because, like we said, we are nonpartisan, so we don't want to turn away anyone because we don't want them to think this is an only Republican thing or only, I don't know, whatever your group is.
Regardless, if you're wearing Biden gear or if you're wearing Joe Johnson gear,
right.
Leave it at home. This is we have one mission, and that's to recall the governor. So, things we're going to cover today. We're going to cover your volunteer waivers, critical piece of documentation that everybody needs to have on board. Going to need to cover the badging rules. The other rules of behavior, we're going to cover how you get into a public building and get space there. We'll talk about the recall manual. We'll talk about the critical element of being polite, be professional. And we're going to cover some frequently asked questions.
You want to swap the slides? You want to swap it to over there so I can see it?
Yeah, let's swap it over here just so you can actually see what we're talking about.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad Savannah's here because, I'm old and senile.
No.
They're not.
So, here's our volunteer waiver. It's a critical piece of documentation. You've got to have one of these in order to be a volunteer.
Right, and this is basically saying if you fall and break your leg, it's not my fault.
Right, that's covered in 1, 2, and 3. Also in 4. Mm-hmm. And finally, it also grants photographic release, which means you grant the group, Battle Born Patriots, the right to be able to photograph you, use you in the promotional materials, etc. If you don't agree with that, go ahead and just line that puppy out, and that's okay. But in general, you're providing that release.
Right. And so when you sign it, you're going to put your signature down there. If there's someone under the age of 18, we're going to go ahead and cover this. They can't collect the signatures, but they can still help volunteer by, handing out flyers, making sure people have pens, helping set up, things like that. So if you have someone under the age of 18 helping, you'll have to sign for them. Then you'll want to print your name, the date, your email address, and phone number. That's just so we can contact you. County and zip code. That way we also know where you are so that we make sure this gets to the right county leader.
So, badges. We don't need a stinking badges. Actually, you do. You need a badge. You've got to be able to identify yourself. People are not going to talk to you unless you have official identification.
Right.
And that's going to get issued by your county lead.
Yeah.
And there's no exception to this, and I was probably the worst offender in the first recall, where I couldn't find my badge half the time.
Yeah, and this is especially important if you want to do door-to-door knocking for the signatures. I don't know about you, but I don't personally open my door when I see someone who does not have a badge or some way to identify who they're with, because at that point, they could just be someone trying to get in, and that's just my thinking.
Yep, so make sure you have your badge from your county lead. Make sure you wear it, know where it is, and keep it on you when you're out there gathering signatures. So, some critical rules. These are really important questions.
Yes.
You got to have all of these answered for every person who wants to sign, because this is what determines their eligibility.
Right, so you have to ask them first if they voted in the 2018 election where the governor won. Now, a lot of people get confused here and they think the 2016 election, but that was presidential. We're talking about the 2018 election. So then if they answer yes to that, you ask them if they voted in this county. And whatever county you're in, that's obviously the county they had to have voted in. They can answer this two ways. If they answer yes, then you ask them if they're still registered in this county. If they answer yes to all three of those questions, they can sign a regular petition. If they answered no to the second question, I would then ask them what county they did vote in. And then when they answer, let's say someone here in Nye wants to sign, but they voted in Clark County in 2018, maybe they lived there. So that you would ask them, are you still registered in Clark? If they are still registered in Clark, then you will have them sign a Clark petition. If they were registered if they voted in a different county, but they're registered in a new county, we have what's called a disenfranchised petition. That is set up for those people who maybe moved in between now and the 2018 election, and they are re-registered somewhere else. So again, going back to the example of someone in Nye, let's say they voted in Clark, but they moved here to Nye County, they want to sign, you would then have them sign the disenfranchised petition.
I know it's a lot of paperwork, but we want to make sure that everybody gets counted.
Right.
And the way we're doing that is making sure they're signing appropriately based on the rules set down in the state constitution and by the Secretary of State. So also remember, if a mistake is made, we'll give you some examples of this further on here. Put a single line through it and move to the next box. Don't chance it. Don't risk it. Put a line through it, have them sign again. If they're willing to take the 2 minutes to sign, they're willing to take the next minute to sign again and make sure it counts.
Right.
So let's take a look at some examples. This is an example petition. So up at the very top, you insert the 200 words or less, setting forth the reasons for why the recall is demanded. And that's going to be set down in your petition. Make sure you read it. Don't sign something without reading it.
Right. So then in the minimum number of signatures necessary, you'll have the number of how many are necessary. I believe it's 244,000 is the bare minimum.
Exactly. 244 and change.
Right. And then you'll have your county. It says county of and then blank. You will write your county. So if you're in Nye, you're going to write Nye. If you're in Clark, you're going to write Clark. Sorry,
exactly. No, this is also where you would mark down on your out-of-county petitions where that county is.
Right. So if you had someone from Clark County that wanted to sign, and let's say you're in Nye, sorry, I'm using that because that's where I am, you would put Clark there because they have to sign a Clark petition. They cannot sign a Nye petition. So then the date of the notice of intent,
it's already filled in for you.
That will already be filled in. So then on the first box, you see the black arrow, or it says print your name. You're going to have them print last name, first name, then middle initial. And that's very important. If they get it out of order, it's not the end of the world. But again, this is a recall. It's going to get scrutinized. We got to get it as much as possible to the T.
Exactly. It's not that hard. Make sure you repeat that to them when you hand them the petition, that they fill in your last name, your first name, and your middle initial if you have one. And repeat that a couple of times for them just so they're on top of it. So you're actually going to move on to section 2, and that's the red arrow here. And that's their residential address. It's the place they're registered to vote. So no P.O. boxes, no nothing out of state. It's just the street address. For example, 123 Main Street would go there.
Right.
Apartment 127. If they have an apartment number or a suite number.
And we need to make sure when they do their resident address, this again goes to examples that we'll show you later, they can't put anything into this box that's right on the edge that says this space for official use only. We can't let them write into that. Some people have long addresses, so if they have a long address, you need to make sure they write small so it stays inside the box.
Exactly. So here's the most important one, the yellow box, the signature and date. Now, critical that they keep their signature inside the box.
Yes.
Don't let them go over. Don't, let them go down into the next box with a J or something like that. Get it in the box.
And I believe the signature needs to be the same that they sign their driver's license for. Now, for some people, they've been signing the same for 40 years, but some people like me who are a little newer to signing, we change it a little bit.
Exactly.
So they need to sign like what's on their driver's license. And if you have a problem with someone, let's say they have a J for a last name and you do the big loop like some people do, one thing that might be helpful for you guys is to have a piece of cardstock or piece of paper that you put just above the black line so that they know that's where their edge is, and if they go over, they hit the paper and not the other box, because otherwise you'll have to scratch through it and start all over again.
Actually, one of the things that I've seen recommended is actually have one above and below for general privacy.
Yeah.
That way, you don't have somebody harvesting addresses off your petition.
Right.
It's a little more cumbersome, but it helps keep it in the box, and it helps protect some people's privacy. Now, the final box is for city and county. Now, some people read that as country. It's got to be county.
Yes.
So, for example, where we are, it would be the city of Pahrump, county of Nye.
Exactly. And then,
Good.
one more thing on the date. If you can get them to do 2020, that would be great. That's just legal stuff. So let's say, like today is 9/12/2020. You'd have them write that.
Yep. And, they don't need to put the state in there. The state's assumed. It's right up there at the top. State of Nevada.
Right.
State of confusion. State of disarray. All those are good. So here's some good examples of signing. Good.
So this first box, John did a very good job. Everything is in the boxes. He did his last name, first name, middle initial. Then he did his street address and just the street part. Then he signed it, kept keeping it in the box, dated it. Reno, he put his city as Reno and county as Washoe.
So we move on to the second box. This is not preferred, but it's still acceptable. It's what we're talking about, where John put his first name first, not his last name first. But that's the only error he made. So that is an acceptable signature box. It does still work. It's not preferred, but it still works.
All right, in box number 3, he still did pretty good on everything. The only thing is his J is touching the line, and like it says, we prefer this not to happen, but if that's the only thing that went wrong, then it will still be accepted.
Now note it's touching the line, not goes over, but touching.
Right.
If it goes over, we're going to be on this page here of, number 5. He went over the line. It's an unacceptable problem. And his date goes across the line. So make sure that, you get those 2 critical elements completed. So let's go back up to number 4 there.
And one more thing, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, carry on.
At the end of the line, when you scratch through it, make sure they initial. That's just, again, another legal thing. So just have them initial right there. So it's basically saying, I did see this scratch through, and then they sign somewhere else.
Exactly. Now, when you're turning this puppy in, you've got to scratch out all the empty boxes on an incomplete petition. Because what that does is when you have them notarized, the notary is saying, okay, yea, verily, I went through this and saw that all of this was filled out, every line was completed, and you can't sneak a signature in.
Right.
We don't want to be accused of sneaking it in after, the petition deadline or when we got them notarized. The other thing that goes with that is leave the staple in place.
Yes.
Because we don't want these, anybody to have any reason to believe we snuck a page in.
Right, and before you turn these into your county lead on the 45th and the 44th and 88th day, wow, I can't even speak, you will want to copy it in black so we know which is the copy, which is the original, so that if there's any questions, so when you go to copy it, you copy the first page, then you flip that page behind, leaving the staple in.
Exactly. And make sure you do copy it because we don't want anything to get lost in transit.
Right.
So this here's our next section. Every public building in the state of Nevada by NRS is required to provide you with some place to gather petition or to gather signatures. It may not be the best place in the world, but it's a place.
Right.
So what you're going to do when you're going to go to a public building, you bring this form with you and you bring your copy of the NRS, which we're going to provide you. So what this is a permission slip. And they may even have a release of liability that goes with this. So I've seen that happen before. You're going to want to have this paper with you the entire time that you are there on that site. So,
exactly.
If you have John Smith sign this off, say, yeah, you can be here. And, Jane Thompson shows up later in the afternoon as the replacement supervisor, says, why the heck are you here? You can say, well, I got permission from this guy to be here.
Exactly. And when you do this, if more than one person's going to be at this, let's say you have it for a week. You have this one spot for a week. Make sure each person has at least a scanned-in copy of this so that they can show it and say, hey, this is preferably a hard copy, but if the only way you have access to them is via email, then a scanned-in copy will work. That way they can show the supervisors as they come and go, hey, no, we have permission to be here for a week. And then also make sure you get a hard copy to your county lead so that they know where you're going to be, so that they can be there for help. Let's say you get questioned, you show them the proof, and they go, well, no, you still can't be here. Your county lead can go, no, per the NRS, and help you out there.
Exactly. This is just covering our tail ends, making sure you guys are safe there. Now, you're also going to make sure some places are really demanding that you have one for every day that you're there. And that's all right. Just, make enough copies to have with you for that day. So here is the actual NRS, and you'll be provided with this. It's NRS section 293.127.565, excuse me. So make sure you're following this to the letter. They're going to want to look for a reason for you not to be there.
Right.
Because they are government employees. They are employees of this governor or employees of the county. So make sure that you have this and that you're following it. Make sure that you're on top of this and you can show them this NRS.
Exactly.
So you'll also be provided through this download here, the recall manual for the state of Nevada Recall Guide 2020. And what this is the playbook. This is the rules. This is that employee guideline that you're supposed to be following.
Exactly. And I recommend, this is personal preference, but I recommend you print it out and have it with you at all times. Because when you're first starting out as a volunteer, people are going to ask you questions and they're going to go, well, why can't we do it like this? Why can't we just impeach him? Well, you got to be able to kind of tell them. So you may not know the answer right off the top of your head, but you can go, you know what, let me show you in the recall guide, or look it up real quick and go, that's why. Because I know the first probably month I did this, I had so many questions thrown at me. I actually went into the recall guide, I had it with me, and I highlighted everything that I thought was important so that I could go back. I could think, okay, that was on page 9, I forget what section, here it is, and it was highlighted for me so that when someone was asking me a question right then and there, I could pull it up.
Now I'm going to tell you, if you suffer from insomnia, this manual is the cure.
Yes, it is.
It is legalese, it is slow reading, but it is important. These are the rules we have to follow.
At least it's short. Pretty short.
So, some general rules for taking Nevada back. Things that we want you to be following. Things that are critical. These are our policies. So, number 1, be polite, be professional.
Right, because you are representing taking Nevada back in Battle Born Patriots, and just think, how would you want someone, to represent you?
Exactly. You're not going to win everybody over. But thank everybody, even if they don't sign.
Exactly.
Good.
I was just going to go, if someone causes problems, but you go on ahead.
Well, that's where I was going to go to. Not everybody is going to like what we're doing. I know I was told I was number 1 quite a few times on the first petition drive.
Oh, yeah.
And, people would drive by and shout at us. I had one guy, actually we were together for Las Vegas there, where the guy threatened to cough on us.
Yep.
If somebody does cause problems, destroys petitions, or threatens you, call the police, call the sheriff's department. If you can, take pictures or record. It is illegal and against the NRS for someone to interfere with a petition gatherer. That's in addition to the fact that they are probably committing another crime at the same time.
Right, and if possible, it's always good just to have someone there with you, because if you're by yourself and someone tries to cause a problem, or even you just have to do something as simply as hit the restroom, you can't leave those petitions because someone could take them, destroy them, things like that. So if possible, have a friend, coworker, I don't know, someone who can come hang out with you, spouse, whatever.
Yeah, reach out to your county lead, see if you have enough available volunteers, and do it as a team of 2.
Exactly. And so then, like it says, do not engage or put yourself in harm's way. No petition is worth your life. If it gets to the point where you think your life is in danger, leave it all. Don't worry about it, because it's not worth you getting harmed over it.
Exactly. On the flip side of that, anybody in our group who's being rude to people out there, pushing too hard, we're not out there to twist arms. We're out there to ask people to sign.
Right.
No, arguing aggressively, etc. You're going to be let go. You're going to be asked not to return. because you're not representing Battle Born Patriots and Taking Back Nevada in the way that we want you to be representing us. We are a professional, polite group.
Right.
We are asking the good people of Nevada to attach their name to this and recall the governor.
Exactly.
So, moving on.
So, some more rules. We're a team, so if you can't be anywhere, please let your county lead know so that we can either get someone else there or we come ourselves. I know emergencies happen, so just give them a call. I would recommend having your county contact info maybe up on the refrigerator or in your phone already so you can get to them really quickly. And then, another thing, be prepared for the weather. I know some of you guys are going to be in Clark County where it is still on the warmer side.
Hey,
So-
lucky us, it's not as bad as the first time around.
Oh, man, yeah.
I remember standing out in the wind and the heat and the dust for 12 hours, and it took a lot out of me.
It does. So make sure you have enough water, snacks, because even though you can't maybe not feel like you're sweating, you are. It's just drying up like that, or you're losing calories. You need to keep energy going. Even though you're just sitting out in the heat, you're going to think, oh, it's not that bad, but...
It's taxing on your body.
It is.
Be ready, be prepared for the weather. Now, important here, this is critical. You want to be turning in your signatures twice a week to your county lead, Monday and Friday by 12 p.m. And the reason for this is how your county lead knows what days are good signature days. They're going to try to maximize the effort. To be honest, folks, there are not enough petition gatherers out there.
No.
We could use 1,000 more volunteers. We could use 10,000 more volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't have that. So we need to be putting our people where they're getting signatures. So make sure you're turning in Monday and Friday by 12 p.m.
Right, and your Monday turn-in number is going to be for Friday through Sunday. So if you, let's say, started collecting Friday and Sunday over the weekend at an event that was there, you're going to turn in those signatures on Monday. And then Friday, your turn-in number will be for Monday through Thursday. So if you're collecting through the week, you will turn those in on Friday. And like Mike said, that's just so that the county leads know what are the hot spots. Because there's going to be spots where weekends are perfect for the for signature days. And sometimes it's going to be Monday through Thursday. So it'll help them.
And also pay attention to the times that you're getting the signatures. Just mentally, so that when you're going out there, and I use fishing metaphors, when you're going out there and dropping a line, when is hot. Like, for example, I found that, hardware stores were hot up until noon. After 12, I got nothing.
Right.
Because everybody's going out there to get their building materials before the day gets hot.
Right. But if you're near a food truck, lunchtime is a great time for signatures.
If you're hitting churches, right after services.
Right.
So be aware there are other petition groups out there. And we're not going to say anything negative about them. They're doing what they think is right. As a matter of fact, I would encourage everybody to sign as many of these petitions as possible, because we can't share signatures. You can't sign theirs and count for ours, or ours and count for theirs. We want to make sure that as many signatures out there happen and are valid and correct. So take the time out of your day. Sign both of them. If we're next to each other, sign them both. We want to make sure if one comes up short, maybe the other one won't.
Right.
The only caveat to that is it's got to be ink and paper. The online petitions are great. They're asking, they're begging somebody to make a change. But the Secretary of State in the state of Nevada will not accept that as a valid petition.
Exactly.
If you want to sign online, great. Sign online too. Sign the change.org. Sign the whatever organization has one online, as well as the one that you're signing for us. Make your voice heard.
Exactly.
So here's some frequently asked questions. I'm going to ask Increase here to read the frequently asked question, and then we'll answer it for him.
I already signed online. Can I sign?
Absolutely. This is what we just mentioned. You signed online. Sign here too. And make sure that they spread the word that the online petition, as good intentioned as it is, isn't going to count and won't actually force action.
Right.
I signed another petition. Can I sign?
Again, absolutely. It never hurts to sign more than one.
I signed last time. Can I sign again?
Absolutely. And thank them for signing the first time, thank them for signing this time, and ask them to bring out as many people that signed last time as they can.
If we get the number of signatures needed, what happens next?
This is the interesting one. So if we get the number of signatures needed, two things can happen. One, after they verify that we have indeed gotten the numbers, Sisolak can either turn in his letter of resignation, in which case the lieutenant governor would take over, or two, he only has 2 days for that one. Two, a special election will then begin after 5 days, so that he has to then rerun for his spot, and then we can get somebody in that we would rather have, and we vote on it.
Exactly, and we're not supporting or backing any particular candidate in that particular special election. All we want to do is give Nevadans an opportunity to state their, to look back and say, yeah, we made a mistake. We made a big mistake.
Exactly.
And bring somebody in who better represents the values of the people here in Nevada. So, some other frequently asked questions and general rules. Go ahead, Increase.
How many signatures do we need?
Go ahead and quote them the 244,000 and change. It's 30% of those who voted in the 2018 gubernatorial election. Now, we want a lot more than that. So, if you want to tell them, hey, we want 500,000, but we need 244,000.
Right, because we also need to make sure we have a buffer for those that are maybe incorrect or not valid, because there will be some signatures that will not be valid on the petitions. We're going to try to minimize that, but you might have 5 on a petition and you don't want to be 5 signatures short of the main number.
Exactly. Somebody forgot where they were registered, forgot if they voted.
Exactly.
Let them make their voice heard if they can. So carry on.
How many signatures do we have?
This is another interesting question. So, last recall, we tried not to tell people exactly how many signatures we have. So you can tell them something like, I don't know, I haven't heard, because we just don't want it to get back to Sisolak as much as possible. We don't want him to know how far we're doing or how well we're doing. In a sense, you almost want him surprised. Right. I would talk to your county lead about maybe a good response, or like I said, you can go, I don't know, I haven't heard, or, we're doing pretty good.
Well, one of my answers, my favorite answer to this question is, I don't know what the people upstairs have. I know I have X. That's what I have.
Yeah.
That's a good answer that, answers their question, and you may not know how many we have total. So just go with that.
Right.
I moved after 2018. Can I sign?
Yes, that goes back to the disenfranchised petition. So if you moved after you voted in the or if you have someone who moved after they voted in the 2018 election, you would have them sign the disenfranchised petition unless they are still registered in their county. I ran into a few people who did that. They moved, but they were still registered in their original county. They hadn't re-registered. So...
Or they moved within the same county.
So if they're still in the same county, they can still...
sign that county petition.
Thank you. They just obviously would have a different address, and make sure that they do the address that they are registered on. So if they moved in the same county and they just hadn't updated their information, they're going to want to have to do their old address, because it's whatever they're registered with.
I didn't vote in 2018. Can I sign?
Well, no.
Yeah.
You have to have had voted in the 2018 gubernatorial election in the state of Nevada.
And that just goes to the Constitution. That's what the Constitution says. You had to have voted in the election for the officer that you wish to recall.
Exactly. One of the other things I did when I was out on the last campaign is, in response to this question, I would ask them if they are registered to vote. And if they're not registered to vote, encourage them to. And what I had is I had a stack of state of Nevada voter registrations there at my table. And you can pass those out. There is no rule about you passing that out. You're saying, hey, go register to vote. Here, let me help you out. Mail that into the Secretary of State.
Right.
All you're doing is helping that person make their voice heard as best you can. That's what we're really out here for.
I voted for him. Can I sign?
Well, exactly. We want you. You are one of those people that we want to sign this petition. You have changed your mind. As long as you meet all the other criteria, we don't care who you voted for. As long as you voted,
Right.
you are eligible to sign this.
I'm not registered to vote. Can I sign?
Yes, you. Sorry,
No, you
excuse me. No,
can't.
you can't. Sorry, I read that wrong. No, you cannot sign. Again, I would encourage people to register to vote so that the next time this happens, they're ready to go. For example, I wasn't registered to vote when 2018 came, so I would actually hit the I didn't vote and I wasn't registered. So I definitely couldn't sign.
And like I said, the best solution you have to this one is to have that stack of voter registrations ready to go.
Exactly.
You say, hey, I don't care which box you check down there under party preference, but register. Get your voice heard. So, if you've got any further questions, it's important to ask. Make sure you get an answer. Visit us at takingnevadaback.com. It's also the place where you'll find all of the documentation that you need. Your county leads, the emails for your county leads, the contact information you need. It is a great resource. There's also the Facebook page. I believe that's also under Taking Nevada Back.
I believe so, yes. And they have it for each county as well.
Exactly. That's where you'll get your county information. There's a YouTube for it now. Mm-hmm. If you've got good videos of you out there doing it, make sure you send that in to Taking Nevada Back so that they can get that posted to the YouTube channel. I believe they've even got a Twitter going now.
Yes, they do.
So it's important to get out there and make sure you have all the right information.
Right.
And I want to personally thank you for spending your time trying to fight back for the state of Nevada.
Right. It definitely does not go unnoticed. It's very much appreciated. And I know, speaking for county leads, I was previous Nye County lead, and every volunteer was definitely appreciated. They worked their rear ends off, and they did a fantastic job.
So I want to again thank you for sitting through this long and boring training and covering all this great information with us. If you have questions, make sure you get them answered.
Exactly.
You have a question.
So, I heard earlier that I'm not able to collect signatures, but I want to help. So what can I do?
Well, you can do everything but touch that petition.
Exactly. You have to be 18 in order to get the petition notarized. And one thing we didn't go over was the notary page.
That's a good point.
It's pretty self-explanatory. The only caveats are whatever county you get the petition notarized, you need to make sure you put that in the county of spot, because there's going to be a county of blank like on the pages of the petition, and you're not going to put the county
that the petition's
for if it's out of county. So again,
exactly.
Using Nye, let's say I had a Churchill County, I'm not going to put Churchill on that county spot. And your notary should help you, depending on where you go. You would want to put, in my case, Nye, so that, because I got it notarized in Nye. So then there'll be a spot for your name, your address, how many signatures are there. You can have that filled out before you go to the notary. In front of the notary, you're going to want to sign it. They will obviously check it, see how many signatures, write it down in their book. They'll turn it to you and say, okay, go ahead and sign it. You will sign that in front of them, and then you will, they will sign that themselves. And then, so you're going to want to make sure that is notarized and everything's,
everything's completed to the best of your knowledge.
Thank you. Sorry, I blanked
Not
out
a
on my
problem.
words.
Hey, that's why we're a team. That's why you have
Exactly.
more than one person at your signing spot. That's why you work as a team. Because no one person can do this. I tried.
Oh, yeah.
I tried desperately last time, and I burned myself out real good.
Yep. It is hard. So you're going to want to make sure it is all ready to go before the 45th day. Your county lead, I would talk to your county lead about when they want them back, because some of the out of counties are going to have to go back about a week in advance, sometimes 2 weeks in advance. So talk to your county lead and see when they want them in, because they have to turn them in. And I don't know if we have any county leads on here, but you're going to want to make sure you talk to state lead about the turning in process if you need to.
Exactly. Remember, the mail is slow.
Yes.
It takes a while. Yes, Young Increase, you have a question.
So if I do want to help, and I can do everything except help collect signatures, do I have to sign a waiver?
No.
No, you can't sign because you're under 18, but your parent or guardian would have to.
Yes.
And we need to have that on file before anybody on there is, whether you bring your infant, you need to have a waiver on file. It's just to protect you and to protect the group.
Right.
To make sure everything is squared away.
So I'd still have my own waiver.
Yes,
I
you
wouldn't
would
sign.
absolutely have your own waiver, but your parent or guardian would sign for you.
Right.
Got it.
So, like I said, if you have any further questions, go ahead and contact Taking Nevada Back at takingnevadaback.com.
And there are no stupid questions when it comes to this. Ask whatever you need to ask.
Actually, I would say the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Even better.
So, I'm Mike Runyon.
I'm Savannah Zimmerman.
I'm Ingrid Zimmerman.
Thank you for watching. You have a great rest of your day, and thank you for volunteering.
Yes.